Hello students, here I'm working on Unit 3, lesson number 4, and this is about positive rational exponents. That means your what are you facing here is let's use roots to write exponents that are fractions, and also I can interpret exponents that are fractions. So let's see what does this mean. I would like to walk through the problems. Let's see here. So in problem number one, it says evaluate 8 raised to 5. So the exponent is the fraction. So let's see what we understand by this. So this basically means it is 8 raised. So before that, I just want to show you that if x cubed, let's put it like if I write x square is 9. Now what does x means? X is basically same as square root of 9, and not just square root of 9 is plus and minus. It means x is I'm right now I will focus on the square root of 9. So all that means is it means the x is replaced by square root of 9 twice, and you get 9. So basically it's you get a formula square root of a times square root of a is same as writing a. So that's what that means. And also if we have, let's see, if I write x cubed is 8, then what number multiply itself? So by definition, this is x equals cube root of 8, right? So what does that cube root of basically it means? How many times do so what number multiply itself? So the cube root, what number multiply itself to get 8? So whatever the inside, that the radicand. So and you know that it's already the answer is, so the answer is, so all this basically means is this part is when you write x is cube root of 8, it only means what number multiplies itself to get 8. And you can see uh, the only number is 2 times 2 times 2. When this 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 2 is 8. So that means that's the number 8. So what number multiplies itself 3 times? Now because there's a 3 here, so it depends on 3. Sometimes you can ask what is x? What is x equals fourth root of 625? So the question is what number multiply itself? What number multiply itself 4 times to get 625? That's all it means, which is actually raised to the power 4. And you can see it's going to be 5, 5, 5, and 5. So 5 raised to 4 is 625. So we can write that 5 is the fourth root of 625. So I want you to get this in your mind that you need to really what is that radical means. So, this means answer is 2 because 2 raised to 3 is 8. That's all it means, right? So the definition part is like this. So what is the definition is if I have x square is b, then x is square root of b. Basically, it means there is a 2 which does not show. In some calculator, it does show. So there is a 2. If I write x cube is equal to c, then x is cube root of c. So these are the definitions. If I write x raised to 5 is d, it means x raised to fifth root of d. So this is the understanding of from here, from the exponent form to the radical form. So this is called radical form, and this is called exponent form. Okay, now the question is, uh, let me take another page here before I go down dive to this one. So let me do the conclusion, and I would be glad if you can even write this. The conclusion is, so what did we learn here? Okay, it's like this. So it means if I have x squared is b, then x is square root of b. If I have x cube is b, then you say x equals cube root of b. If we write x raised to fourth is b, then x equals fourth root of b. It means if I go on like this and write x raised to n is b, then x is nth root of b. So this is what that means. So just an example to show that uh, if I write x squared is 9, and then we say, okay, x is square root of 9, which is 3. If I write x cube is 27, then it is x is cube root of 27, which is 3. So this is how you're supposed to write. If this means if x raised to 4 is 16, it means x is fourth root of 16. It means what number multiply itself 4 times to get 16, and that's the answer is 2. So this is how you figure out. And one more last one. What if our x raised to 5 is 343? It means x equals fifth root of 343. So what number, I mean 243. What number multiply itself to give this number? And you see it is 3, because if you multiply by 3 times 3, so 5 of them, if you multiply, you get 243. So that's all it means. So I hope this is the conclusion I wanted to make. And another conclusion is square root of a times square root of a is a. That means square root of cube root of a times cube root of a is also, I mean, if you multiply 3 times, it means it is also a. If I say fourth root of a times fourth root of a times fourth root of a times fourth root of a is a. So this is how you remember the formulas. That is, and this means this also is, let me use the other color for that. It means square root of a, the whole square is a. If it is square root of a cube root of this and the whole cube is a. If it is fourth root of a and raised to the power 4, it is a. So that's all it means. So now the question is, this lesson is more about is writing down. Before that also why, question arises why square root of a, why do we write a raised to half? And see, so question is why square root of a is a raised to 1 over 2, or why cube root of a is a raised to 1 over 3. And the reason is, remember the definition of x. If I write x square is b, x is square root of b. What this means is, if you replace this x by the square root of b, this is the square root of b. I'm going to put here the blue color, and then I'm going to put that the pink one and say, okay, it means this is what you replace x by, and that's what that means. So in other words, you multiply this itself and you get that b part. So so this is the important part I want to you to check on, that this is, so 2 square root of b's, if you multiply, is b. Look at this beautiful thing. Square root of b, and you write square root of b is b. Now the question is, why is this correct? So we all we can do is, if we multiply this two, like how I like this way, multiply itself, and see, let's check, let's multiply what is a raised to half and multiply a raised to half. Now we know from the laws of exponent, as the base is b, you write only once, and this exponent you add up, so you get half plus half, which is a raised to 1, and that is the a. So and you can clearly see, of course, that means this part is nothing but the square root of a. So of course, I wrote here b. I think I should have taken a instead of a, I should have taken. Let me really show that b part, and I don't want. So it means the black color. So square root of b is half. So it means, so we want to know whether what happens if we multiply the same thing to itself. This part you want to multiply itself, and when you put like this, you get b raised to 1, which is b. And this b is the same b which is right here, see. And that means this part, this thing, now let me use some different color maybe. That means this part is same as this. It means square root of b is b raised to half. That's all that means. I hope I'm making sense. So that's why this is always true. Okay, let me take another example is uh, if I write x cube is let's equal to b, the definition says that x is cube root of b. All this means is when you plug in this part, the red color, in place of x, you replace it here. That means raised to 3 is b. So I'm replacing the green, this the red color, right? So I'm putting the red part is cube root of. That's what that means, right? It means you are multiplying the red one cube root 3 times. It means it's cube root b, and cube root b. So, and that's what you get. That's all that means. This is like a formula. Or you can see this also cube root b raised to the power is b, which I wrote it right here. It's the same thing, right? So hope I'm making sense to you. And the question is, this time is, so this is like a formula always. If it is, again I'm writing, if it is fourth root of b and fourth root of b, if it is fourth root of b, and if it is fourth root of b, it's going to be b because you're multiplying itself 4 times. Now the question is, why why cube root of b is b raised to 1 over 3? Why? And you can see, so all we can do is we multiply, like how I multiplied this 3 times, 1, 2, and 3, you got b. So now this time we multiply b raised to 1 over 3. And the question is, do you get b? Let's check. So b raised to 1 over 3, I multiply 3 times. And what this means is, you add b only once and add the exponent, and 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 add up to b raised to 1. And b is b. There you go. That's correct. So all it means is this is always true. So we can generalize now. So now we can generalize that. Right now I saw square root of b is b raised to 1 over 2. It means there is a 2 here. It's just square root of 2. Cube root of b raised to 1 over 3. Fourth root of b is b raised to 1 over 4. And likewise, nth root of b is, okay. Now the question is, what about if there is a something like what does b raised to 3 over 4? Let's see what does this mean. That's the lesson about lesson number 4, especially with tackles. What does this mean? Let me take an example. The best is take an example. 8 raised to, okay, 2 over 3. So let's see. I want you to use like what does this basically means. Can we write in terms of the radical, cube root, or square root, or cube root? That's the question. Now, this can be written in 2 different ways. So one is I can write this a raised to 1/3 raised to 2. Now why? Because a raised to m times n is a raised to m times n. It means a raised to m times n. I can write it as a raised to. So this is power of power. So basically, I'm writing this because I can write this as it is like 1/3 times 2. So you can see this is like a m. This is m, and this is n. So this is the black 2, and the red one is 1/3. See, so I can write now. Eventually, or there's another way to write this is I could also use, let me see, another way to write this is you write the 8 exactly the same and write down 2 inside, so the black 2 can be written inside, okay, and then I multiply by the red, which I can write it as 8 times the black 2 will stay inside, and then I'll put the red one outside. See? Okay, let me see now. So it's 2 different ways approach is there's whatever this is given. Remember that this is a rational exponent. So the exponent which you see is the rational. Now, using the definition, now remember the inside the parenthesis, whatever that you see inside the parenthesis can be written as, because there's a 3. Remember in the last few minutes, you can write that as cube root of 8. And then the black color comes. The black is outside. So this is the way. So this whole thing is same as writing like this. Of course, you know the answer of cube root of 2. You know the answer cube root. So what multiplied itself 3 times to give 8? This means what number multiplied itself 3 times, because there's a 3, to give 8, and the number is 2. On the outside, black is the separate. The black one is 2, and which is 4. That's the final. I'm not concerned about this part. I'm more concerned about this part. That means this black and this black is the same. Another way now, let's go right here. So now I'm going to write 8 square exactly the same, but the the 3, this 3 using the definition, remember earlier, we can write this as cube root of this. See, that's because that's what I've been trying to show earlier class, earlier video. If you go backspace, you remember if I have square root of b, it is b raised to half. If it is square root of cube root of c, it is c raised to 1/3. If it is fourth root of d, it is g raised to 1/4. All you do is go backwards here. So there is already 1/3. So you just cube root. And of course, this is fine. Eventually, it's 8 times 8 is 64. And what number multiply itself to get, number multiply itself 3 times to get 64? And it is 4. And you can see it is 4. So the goal is finally the conclusion part. So what did we learn from here is the black part is important, is this part. Is I started with 8 raised to 2/3. And I got one of this answer. I got this one, which is cube root of 8 the whole square, and the other one I got this one, it means cube root of 8 square. So finally we can make a conclusion with letters. So the so the conclusion is, if you have b raised to m over n, and you can write two different ways. One is you can write b over n raised to m this way, and which is nth root of b raised to m. Or you can write b raised to m inside and 1 over n outside, and then write this is what it means. So eventually the formula goes like this. So if this is the case, this is same as nth root of b raised to m. It is same as nth, sorry, I made a mistake. This way m, let me write, I'm doing it fast because it's getting late. So this is nth root of b raised to m. Or you can put this m inside. So either you take it outside or nth root of b raised to m, and you're done. So I hope I'm making sense with this little 18 minutes video that helps everything. So the question is, the very first practice problem you see in your packet, that it is saying, Diwali, what is this? So the first thing is, I want to think of this 8, and I want to think of this 3 also. So of course you can write it at uh, either you could write it this way. So there are two ways. You could use cube root of 8 and then 5, or you can write cube root of 8 this way. Now this will be too difficult, because this will be easy because you already know what is cube root of 8. Because what number multiply itself 3 times to give you 8, and you know it is 2. And then you know 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 5 times you do, you get 4 over 16, and you get 32. Now, if you do it this way, then this become a big number, and then that's going to be very, very big number. So this will be too tedious. This is the best option. Let's do second. Okay, there's another question I ask is, so question number 2 is giving, select all the expressions that are equal to this. Now remember, one of the ways that you can do is, you just write 64 and the down is 2. You keep this half like this and write outside 3, which is square root of 64 raised to 3, or you could keep 64 raised to 3 outside and write 1 over 3. So that way this will be square root of 64 raised to. Now this is too difficult. So we'll go with this one and say, hey, square root of 64 you already know, which is 8. And it is like 8 times 8 times 8. So this will be 64 times 8. 8 fours are 32. And 8 six are 48, 49, 51. And you get that's one of the answer. You could also write this as instead of 64, I'll keep this 2 as it is. And the 64, so in place of 64, look at this. I'm going to write this as 3 over 2. And the 64 is 8 square. Okay. That means I can write directly this as 8 times 2 times Alina. You get the same thing. So the conclusion is this part, what you see here is whatever that gave you can write it as. One is you can write as 512 is one of the answer. This also is another answer. Or you can even write it as this one. You could write a square root of, because you can write that as 64 raised to 3, and you can write it as half, but then that will be square root of 64 raised to 3. So this is another way that also is correct. But this will be too difficult to get the answer, but that's another way to write down. So question number 3 is clearly asking, write the expression using the radical. So this is written in two forms. One is you can write 1/3 inside and the 4 outside, or you can write the 4 inside and 1/3 outside. So this inside will be cube root of 17 raised to 4. This is one answer. And this parenthesis 17 raised to 4 stays, and because this is 3, you can write cube root and you're done, which is same as 17 raised to 4. So one of the answers is this, and the second one is this one. Question number 4 is like a review for the semester final. So that's a nice practice problem. Also, I introduced this. So there is a arithmetic sequence. Now, what is the arithmetic sequence? If you forget, the first term is 4. That's like first term, second term, third term, fourth, and it goes on like this. And there's an n term. There's a term which says he's asking us how do we calculate a 5,000th term. So that means if this is n, and this will be a n. And because it's an arithmetic sequence, it starts with 4 and then 13, and you can clearly see every time you are adding, you add, what adds to 4 to get 13 is 6, 7, and 9, right? So you add plus 9, you get plus 9, you get 22, you add plus 9, you get 31, and so on. The question is, what about this one? So if this is A1, remember this is A1, this is A2, and this is A3. So if I want to, so you want to find out this. Let's see. If you want to know A2, how did we get that A2? It is because we had in the beginning 4, and then you multiply. So you multiply 1, the 9, you multiply 1. So 1 times 9, right? So if it is A3, that means you multiply A3 will be, you multiply 2 times 9 plus 4, whatever the 4 in the beginning, right? So there is a relation between 2 and 1, 3 and 2. So if it is A of 5,000, that means you'll have to multiply 1 less, 4,999 times the whatever the difference D, and then plus 4. This is it. So the n term there, the question was asked is like, no matter what the term is, what the term a raised to n, whatever that term will be always the beginning, whatever that you have 4, and then you times the d. So it is a, and is the very first one is a1 plus d times n minus 1. So that means here the d is 9, so it is n minus 1. So this is the nth term. explicit formula for the arithmetic sim. Explicit formula. So to find the 5,000 term, all you do is, there you go, you just do this calculation and you get the answer. So how did we get that 9? This 449 is because it is 5,000 minus 1. So 1 less than the 5,000. So I hope I'm making sense. Question number select all the items equivalent to square root of 24. So how did we get this 24 from? Remember, if we have a square like this, and if the side length is a and a, then this becomes 2 times square root of a. So let me explain. Select all the items equivalent. So what is same? Let's take one at a time. The area of a square with side length 24. That means if this is 24 and this is 24, he's saying it is the area. So this number, is it area? So the area will be 24 times 24, quite a big number. So this cannot be equal to square root of 24. The second part is saying is the b since it is the side length of a square. So it's saying this is square root of 24 and this also is square root of 24 with area. This whole thing area is 24 and this makes sense because the area of a square is length times the width. So you are multiplying itself and we have seen it all the time that this is 24 which is the area. That's correct. So this is correct. C is saying the positive number x such that x is 24. Let's see what is x times x means x squared is 24 and by definition it is square root of 24. So this is correct. So this also is correct. And if you see the other one is a positive number y where y is this doesn't make even sense and the age of the length of the cube is this way. So that will be if this is square root of 24, square root of 24, and square root of 24, uh, this will never give you the volume as 24 because square root of 24 to square root of 24 uh, and square root of 24 will be 24 square root of 24. So that's wrong. So the only options are B and C. And the last question is pretty easy, just asking what is this meaning 23 raised to half. Remember, this is nothing but because there's a 2 here, b raised to 1 over, this is the formula to be remembered always. So this means it is 2 to square root of 23, which is square root of 23. So the some calculators give this 2, but most of the calculators don't give. Just write a radical like this. So I hope this makes sense. I'm finishing. This is lesson number 4. I hope you will complete the whole thing. And tomorrow we'll see lesson number 5.